Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Malcolm Cottle, and I work for the Ruth Mott Foundation at Applewood Estate as a collections technician. That means that I get to work with all the artifacts and history that we care for at the estate. The Ruth Mott Foundation is committed to sharing the history of Applewood and the Motts, so that's what we're doing today. I'm not doing a lecture on the entire history of CS Mott today, so if you want to read up on that type of stuff, go to ruthmottfoundation.org, and there is a ton of information there. Without further ado, let's dive right in. I want to throw something at you. The enduring legacy of CS Mott is his extraordinary commitment to civic participation. So, what does this mean? Well, many of us know CS as one of the original founders of General Motors. There are a lot of successful businessmen out there. What is it that sets CS Mott apart? Well, an enduring legacy means just that, the thing we most remember about CS Mott. And civic participation is how an individual can be an active part of their community. So now that I've made this claim that CS's legacy is his commitment to civic participation, I'm going to show you four examples that support this statement. We are going to explore 1, his military service, 2, his mayoral service, 3, CS's foundation, and 4, his community participation. And then we're going to circle back to his legacy. Alright, let's get started with CS's military service. CS was involved in 3 major wars during his life. The first was the Spanish-American War. Check this out. So war is declared, and the very next day, CS enlists in the Navy. So clearly he heard a call to arms and wanted to serve his country. CS served as gunner's mate, in charge of 4 main cannons on the ship called the USS Yankee. He was called back to help organize vehicle and supply manufacturing in World War I, and then again in World War II. Again, not going overseas, but helping organize in the United States on the home front. Now, CS learned a lot during his service. He learned how important it was for people to come together and to fight for a cause, and that everyone has to work together. He also learned what he didn't like. After the Spanish-American War, CS found that he didn't really like military hierarchy. He found it slowed innovation, and he didn't think it was very efficient. Additionally, and maybe more importantly, he thought it really hurt the morale of his fellow soldiers. It's pretty clear that CS took these lessons and applied them to the rest of his life as a manager. In 1922, during an interview with Forbes magazine, CS said to encourage your workers to reach out for greater responsibility. Don't look over others' shoulders every moment of the day to see what they are doing. Give them scope, give them latitude. Encourage them to develop initiative. Do not create an environment where workers are afraid to exercise originality again, lest they might make another mistake. As we go along, I think you'll see this mentality come up again. Alright, next I want to talk about Mayor Mott. CS was elected the mayor of Flint in 1911 and 1912. When he ran in 1911, he ran as a moderate candidate. He wanted to unify across party lines. In fact, he ran on the Independent Citizens Party ticket, which was a party of Republicans and Democrats who wanted to promote business interests and were really not into socialism. Side note, the current mayor at the time was a socialist. CS didn't see himself as part of any one party. He said, "I am not, and never have been, affiliated with any national political party," and that he hoped he was the Republican and the Democratic candidate. So, CS takes office, and he had specific projects he wanted to get started right away. He wanted to improve the sewage system and improve public parks. He focused on civic improvements, projects that would help all citizens in Flint. Another cool thing, CS prioritized hiring top engineers who could carry out these projects effectively, so he could spend more of his time managing and balancing the city's budget. So again, we see his management style here. Alright, so by 1918, CS had served his country 3 times in wars and served the city of Flint 3 times as mayor. What was next on his agenda? How else could he find a way to help support his community? In 1926, CS Mott started his foundation, the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, which is still headquartered in Flint today. And you know, when you really start looking at it, CS Mott seemed to have the same philosophy as Andrew Carnegie when it came to how he was going to use his wealth. Andrew Carnegie was a 19th century steel industrialist who believed that the wealthiest of Americans had a responsibility to use their money to help others and improve society. When we look at CS Mott's giving, we can definitely see this Carnegiean philosophy. When the foundation was started, they focused on the areas CS saw as lacking in the city. So, funding for child healthcare, education, and poverty relief became the main things that the foundation gave money to. There's 2 programs I want to highlight because I think they show my point pretty well. The first was the community education program. The community education model was started by Frank Manley, who worked for the Flint School Board. He thought that school buildings should be used after school hours to offer programs to the community. So kids would use the schools from 9 to 3, and then after 5, they would have classes for all community members, children and adults. It was a really cool idea, but Frank was having trouble gaining support for funding for the program until he gave a speech at the Rotary Club in 1935. CS Mott was at that meeting and invited Manley to Applewood to play tennis, where, eventually, they discussed Manley's idea. CS thought it made perfect sense. Schools were owned by the public and therefore shouldn't go dark in the evenings and summers. So these 2 guys pair up and they get 5 schools to start the program in 1939. The program expanded across the state and eventually the country. The CS Mott Foundation was a big financial supporter and later started an intern program program to teach the methods that they had developed. What I want to highlight in this story is the relationship between Manly and CS, as well as the vision they had together. If we return to CS's management style, again, we see he trusted the people he worked with to have the expertise to accomplish the goal. Based on what CS said and wrote, CS saw Manly as the visionary of the program, and CS's role was to finance and manage the logistics. Both of these men had a passion for helping their community and improving society. And that's really what community education was, a way to offer new opportunities and use resources that the public was paying for anyway through local taxes. CS found a way to help Flint citizens while also helping to grow neighborhood communities around the schools. Another program I want to quickly highlight is the CS Mott Foundation Interracial Community Center. This program was intended to bring together youths from different races and socioeconomic environments so that they could learn from each other and create empathy between people in the context of physical education. Manly had been a physical educator, and he believed that youths needed physical activity. This program was started in 1945, which is pretty incredible considering the state of civil rights across the rest of the country. But here in Flint, black and white kids were able to play sports and games. Alright, so we've chatted about wartime CS, Mayor Mott, and his foundation. Now, I'd like to share some of CS's more casual community participation. There are many stories of CS and his interactions with Flint citizens in very low-key ways. When the 1953 Flint Beecher tornado ripped through Genesee County, CS was out with his own hammer helping to rebuild homes. In fact, there's a story where he insisted he get up on the roof to help with a re-roofing. But since CS was 78 years old, no one would let him do it, which made him a little mad. CS was also very active in his community, joining a whole host of clubs and different community groups. He was also seen buying local. He could be seen at the local department store to purchase socks or whatever else he needed. In fact, we've heard stories over the years of people who would see him around town and go up to talk to him, and he always made time to chat with them. So, this now brings us back to the legacy of CS Mott. What is it? At the beginning, I made a statement that the enduring legacy of CS Mott is his extraordinary commitment to civic participation. We looked at his military service, his mayoral service, his foundation, and his community participation. As we can see, CS Mott was not a one-flavor kind of guy. CS clearly placed a high priority on civic participation, and he found multiple ways of doing it. He led his community as mayor, but he also simply helped out when all that was needed was an extra set of hands to help rebuild homes. We can see another theme that CS pursued, and that was unity. CS wanted to be the unifier candidate when he was mayor. The same with his projects with Manly. He wanted to create a space where people came together to learn and to have fun. He shopped local, supported local vendors, and he believed in encouraging others to achieve, not micromanaging. I've actually interviewed some people in the past year who said CS Mott wasn't just a name on a building. He believed everyone had to be involved if they wanted to build a better community, himself included. And he found lots of different ways in which he can be involved to improve his community and serve his community. And he definitely passed this commitment on to his family. His wife, Ruth, was equally involved in the community, getting involved in many projects that could help improve the city. And you know, it's thanks to her that the Ruth Mott Foundation exists, that not only gives grants, but also preserves Applewood Estate and the history of the Motts. Ruth and CS's daughter, Mary Ann, is the chair of the board of the Ruth Mott Foundation and serves as a trustee for the CS Mott Foundation, carrying on her parents' legacy. So, do you agree? Is CS's legacy his extraordinary commitment to civic participation, or is it something else? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and share ways you participate in your community. I'd love to know. If you enjoyed this video, let us know. We can create more content like this if this is something you're interested in. Let us know below. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Alright, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and remember that history is worth preserving. Thanks.